I'm Ken. Since I posted my last video where I talked about the DDR 5-year plan stamps, two things have started to nag at me. Postmaster GS from Germanstamps.net sent along a link to a page that describes these in pretty good detail. Warns me a little bit that they might be out of date. But still, as I pore over that table and the contents of that page, two things are bugging me. One is this reference to the typography differences between the CTO lithograph stamps and the postally valid postally valid stamps. The postally valid ones have the A underneath the H and the E, and the CTO versions have the A under just the E on the stamp. And so when I looked at the booklet of stamps that I have in my collection, I noticed that the A is under the E, and there's just no reference to a lithographed version of the stamps with an A under the E in a postally valid form. So I've got to try and figure out what that is. My suspicion now is that I've misidentified this booklet. We're going to take a look at that and see if I'm right in that suspicion. The other thing that's been starting to nag at me is that this table, this web page, also talks about how all the quatrefoil watermark stamps have no known versions of the CTO stamps. And in my collection, I have a bunch of CTOs that have been filed, that I've filed with the quatrefoil stamps. So I want to take a second look at the watermark on those and see if indeed I have watermarked versions of the quatrefoil stamps, or whether I've just looked at those watermarks and they belong on a different page. So we're going to do both those things live today on this video, and we'll see what we can learn from that. Okay, so here's what we're looking at with this first quandary I'm in. It's this booklet right here. I have labeled it underneath as 156, 159, and 163. And that's the issues that come out of the 5 Pfennig in the litho, 156, the 10 Pfennig blue-green, 159, and the 163, which is the 20 Pfennig olive. I admit I have peeked in this book in the past, and I found the emerald, and I remember finding that emerald color, but I don't actually remember seeing the color of the blue-green or the 20 Pfennig olive. So we're going to have to look in here and see what's going on here. But what I do know is when I peeked to last time, filming that previous episode, I confirmed that the A in Demokratisch is actually under the E in Deutsche. And I know that if this is the lithograph stamp, that the A should be under the HE, not just the E, and that's not what's going on in this booklet. So I have some misidentification here, or obviously I found some amazing, unusual thing, and that's probably not the case. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this booklet again. We're going to look in and confirm what stamps are in here, and we'll try and figure out where my misunderstanding is. So let's first try and kind of gently open up this booklet. I'm just going to peel it right out of the corners here, but just the lid, not all of it. Gently. Okay. As I tip it open, you can see now I've got the 5 Pfennig green. Probably can't see at this level of detail that the A is under the E, just like I expected. Let's just confirm that this is the lithographic stamp. There's error number 1. When I look here, I can see lines. And when I look at the lines on the table, that's in the lithograph dot. So what we should expect this to be is it's in the lines are in the typographic stamps. That should be either 188, or if it's the quatrefoil design, the quatrefoil watermark, it should be 330 or 476. So I have obviously not dipped this booklet into watermark fluid, so I haven't checked the watermark on this. But let's see if we can't understand here a little bit better. But definitely this stamp is not 156, and that makes more sense to me. So let's peek under here and see what colors we have on the other stamps. So I've lifted that up gently. The kind of really interesting spacer between here to keep the gum from sticking to the stamp below it. Now we've got a 10 Pfennig blue-green, so that's probably 10 Pfennig blue-green, probably 191 if it's also lithographed. In fact, I'm sorry, typographed. In fact, there are lines there, so that's the typographed version. Now, the thing that we need to see here next is the color of the third booklet. Okay, so we got to pull up this spacer again. There's an add in there to separate the two colors. And the color here on the 20 Pfennig stamp is a Carmen color. So when I look at this 20 Pfennig Carmen stamp, that is not the stamp that belongs here on this second column, typographic lines. It's the stamp that belongs to either the New Designs 228 or the quatrefoil stamps, either the 130 or 333 or 478. So we need to explore a little bit more. Now, if this booklet were full of stamps from the same column, which it almost certainly is, I have no reason to doubt that, then I would expect that this 228 design would have an equivalent 5 Pfennig emerald stamp, and it does not. So there is no 5 Pfennig stamp in the New Design set. And looking at the 10-cent blue-green, there's also no 10 Pfennig blue-green. And you might say, well, okay, they just carried those forward, except there was a 10 Pfennig blue, 227. And if these were from the same period, then this 10 Pfennig stamp here should also be that blue color. And it's not, it's blue-green. There's no question about that. So this is not this New Design column. So then the only other thing we have to worry about here is this 20 Carmen 333 or 478? So that 20-cent stamp either has an imprint, 333, or it doesn't have an imprint, 478. So let's go look and see the imprint. There it is. The imprint is E. Gruner, K. Wolf. So this is the version with the imprint. So I think we have now positively identified this book. This book is 6 5 Pfennig stamps, which are 330. It is 7 10 Pfennig stamps at 331. I'm a little bit confused by that. And then what have we got? 5 20 Pfennig stamps at the Carmen color, and that is 333. The reason I'm a little bit confused by this is 331 says it's a blue, and when I look at these stamps, I would say that 5 Pfennig is not the color we're looking at. It's this 10 Pfennig. I would call that blue-green, even though it says blue. So that's confusing me a little bit. I'm going to guess that I'm just misunderstanding the colors here, and that particular stamp, that stamp is indeed the 331. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put this back in neatly. I'll do that off camera. I'll re-edit these numbers at the bottom, and then we'll look at the other confusing aspect of this after looking at that page. Okay, we're back with this. I have written in here 330, 331, and 333. That should be this column right here in the table, the imprint versions of the quatrefoil watermark. There is still that outstanding question of the color of this item number 331, which my table lists as blue. I went back to the catalog to look this up, and indeed the catalog says blue as well. And when I look over 2 pages forward, this copy right here of 331, also the 10 cent, is just exactly the same color as the one in that booklet. And I did pull this one out and look at the watermark. It is indeed the quatrefoil watermark, so I have no doubt on the identification of that. That stamp right there with the quatrefoil watermark can only be 331 in the imprint version. An odd side effect, the imprint version of the 10 Pfennig stamp actually has no imprint. It's a weird oddity of the way the catalog is set up and the way printing happened here. So 10 Pfennig, no imprint, belongs in the imprint set. There is no other option for it to be. So this color is the same as the color in here, so I have little doubt as to the correctness of 330, 331, and 333. Another oddity that I just won't bother to go into too much is that the Scott catalog lists booklet panes for this stamp, but it doesn't list these booklet panes. And I'm not at all surprised because that sounds like a kind of a specialized area. I'm not going to get too worked up about that. But for now, let's just be positive on our identification of this as 333, 330, 331, and 333 imprint versions, and we'll leave this mystery solved at this point. Okay, so now we're moving over to this page, the imprint page, and one of the interesting things, we'll go back to this chart a little bit. Look here at the bottom, it says that all versions of these quatrefoil watermarks are postally valid, that there are no known copies of CTO versions of this stamp. Okay, back to this page. When I look at this stamp that I've labeled as a CTO, this one is labeled as a CTO, this one labeled as a CTO, and I've even labeled this one as a CTO, but we'll talk about why that is in a second. These are really clearly CTO patterns, these two. This one is a little bit off center for a CTO pattern, but when I look at these two under a magnifying glass, no doubt in my mind, these are the CTO patterns that are going on here. And these two are close, but not quite right. This one has some lines extending on it that I've never seen in any other CTO, so that's potentially postally used. That one is potentially postally used, and we'll just take a closer look at all of these, checking the watermarks on the back of them to make sure I identified them properly as the quatrefoil version. So let's dive into that. We'll start with this one right here, 481. 481 should be this 481 should be the 50-cent blue, and I've said it's a CTO version, so let's just check that out. Pull that out of its slot. We'll pull this up. We'll get some watermark fluid. Get a little dab there. And look closely, and a little hard to see. I'm going to look in the catalog for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Yes, indeed. I can see now that these are the quatrefoil watermark. And there's a thick DDR here. If it were the post-horn watermark, the DDR would be much thinner. But I can definitely see the lobe of the quatrefoil and the X in the middle. So that's definitely a quatrefoil stamp. So now we take it off the watermark fluid, dry it off a little bit. And I'm going to look a little closer at this watermark and see if it shows any of the signs of CTO. It does not. So this stamp, I think I'm now convinced myself, is a postally used version of that stamp. So we're going to change that from 481 CTO to just 481, postally used. So good use of that table and a good learning here. Okay. I'll show you how I put these back into my slots. I slide them in neatly, and then I use the firm perf gauge to kind of tip them in, and voila, back in place neatly. Okay, so now let's look at these three and do the same check on them. I'm going to pull out all four of these because it doesn't stay well in the mount. If I just leave one in there, it'll just bend it. So that's something I'm just going to do. Take those out. Let's test this one and this one first, because these are the ones that are most likely CTO stamps. These are not like the Germania prints where the watermark is easy to see. Okay, give me a minute. I'm going to just compare these to the catalog and see what I can convince myself of. Okay, I'm back with these two. It is probably impossible for you to see here. Let's see if we can't bring it up close enough to see. You can see on this one maybe a little bit of an indication of the post horn. I convinced myself that there's a little bit of an indication of a post horn down here. The fluid's drying up. Of course, there's no way we're going to see this. So these are not quatrefoil watermarks. But they are a CTO. That's definitely a CTO. So we're going to set this one aside as not a quatrefoil. Move it to its rightful place. Same with this one. CTO, not a quatrefoil. So the table that we got from Postmaster at germanstats.net told us something that was true about these, that they are not known so far as CTO versions of these stamps. This one is still a little bit dubious to me as I look at it But I'm pretty sure this is a CTO version looking at the printing quality. Yeah, that's a CTO, no question about it. Okay, this one is the one that is dubious as well, because I've never seen CTOs printed on with these flag lines or these flying lines coming off of it. But otherwise, the impression looks like it was printed on there. So it does look kind of like a CTO. And my first thought was that this is just a new style of CTO that was used because the DDR post office said, the collectors are getting wise to our use of these standard CTO postmarks. Let's see if we can't fool them. But let's see what we got here. Again, on the back of this is full gum. Full gum on the back of this indicates that it is likely a CTO and not postally used, although for the rest of the CTOs, there is no gum on the back of these issues. So that's a little bit of an oddity. So full gum, CTO-like printing, but an unusual postmark for the CTO. So let's check the watermark here. I wish this were easier to see on these issues, and I wish I could show you what I'm seeing, but give me a second and let this work in, and I will be back with a determination of what's going on here. Okay, let's come back with this. I'm going to put another drop on here just so you get the most opportunity to see this watermark. I think, unfortunately, this watermark is illegible to me. Maybe you all can tell what's going on here with that, but I cannot. I can definitely see hints of a watermark, but I can't figure out which one it is. Anyway, so watermark, but I don't know. So let's turn this back over and see what it tells us. This is a 20 pfennig, Carmen. With the 20 pfennig Carmen, it can only be 228 with the new design, 333 with the wolf impression, or 478 without the wolf imprint. So given that I can't tell the watermark, I can see that it does have an imprint. Let's see if we can bring that up for you to see the imprint. Yeah, right there along the bottom is the imprint and the imprint. So definitely an imprint on this. Let me look in the catalog. Well, let's not look in the catalog. Let's set this here. We'll set these aside. Let's look at the previous page, the new design page. Is this the new design? Yeah, here's the new design page. The 20 cent here is this one. We're going to see if there's, yeah, the color is different. The color of this one is definitely redder. Let me look in the catalog and see what the color variations are on this. 228, 333 are the only options. If it's this one, it is the this is the CTO version of 228. Its color is slightly duller than the color of this one. I just want to take a quick look in the back of this, and indeed, this has no adhesive on the back. We're going to just pull these stamps here and put these back. So there's no adhesive on the back of that one. So that is the pattern I'm used to seeing. So the pattern is CTOs have no gum on the back. This one is still odd, and it has gum on the back. So we're going to set that aside for now. And come back over to this page. So my theory right now here is that I have found an odd CTO of 333, the wolf imprint. So let me be right back. I'm going to look at the catalog and the table, and we'll decide where to fold that into the book. Okay, and I'm back again. So there are no differences listed in the catalog for colors. This is an indeterminate watermark. I am going to guess, based on kind of the thickness of the watermark elements, that this is in fact the quatrefoil watermark, but it's impossible for me to know for sure. I'm going to put it back on this page with the watermark 313 as a CTO, and the reason I'm doing that is it doesn't fit the pattern of the new design CTOs, but I'm convinced based on the printing of this. Let's just bring this up to you. Make sure I've got it right. Bring this up to you. You can see, I think you can see the quality of the print. Actually, let me let me take a picture of this and make it even bigger for you. And compare it to a CTO version. You'll see that it looks like it's printed on there, but it also has adhesive on the back, which is very unusual for these sets. So I'm gonna make that assumption that this one belongs right here. And I think we're done. Actually, these two we need to move to their right place, but these two belong here. 331 goes here, and 330 CTO goes here. Okay, don't curse me out in the comments for putting them in this way. This is the only way I can do it without redoing the whole page. I'm also noticing as I'm putting this in that this 10 Pfennig stamp is slightly shorter than the 20 Pfennig stamp. I'm not quite sure what that size difference is. The last minute adjustments are the hardest part here. So anyway, so we've got that. We're going to make this as it's still 333 CTO. I'm going to put a little question mark at the end, and we'll leave that there. And then those two stamps that I pulled out of here, they're being erased. So now let's just finish identifying this. This 30-cent Deep Carmine could either be, it's 198. So we're going to look on the other one for 198 for that one. And then the 70-cent chocolate has to be 230A. So let's take that and put it in 230A slot. So I come back to 230A. 230A with a CTO. We already have a copy of that, so I'm going to file that away. And then what did we say this was? 30 cent, 198. So we're going to come back to the second page. And we already have a copy of that one as well. So I'm going to put this into my duplicates pile. So I think that's the whole set of mysteries solved. The stamps that were in here are, in fact, the typographic stamps, so we've resolved that, and we've looked at the back here, and I think we've convinced ourselves that this is a new type of CTO that wasn't previously cataloged. Postmaster GS has not confirmed that this is right, but he's confirmed that there's some errors in the previous table that this maybe fits into, so we'll do some more research on that. And oh yeah, this one right here we've decided is actually postally used. So let's get rid of the CTO moniker there and type in 481. This is one of the beauties of being able to write in pencil under these strips, is I can move things around and erase and update as I learn more things. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this look into me figuring out what I've learned from you. I continue to learn. I hope you're enjoying these episodes. Have a good week.